live at Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, bringing you the best in real Texas barbecue. This is Sooner Sports Talk on the Sooner Sports Network from Learfield.
Got into the paint, skip out, corner, three-pointer in the air, short, and went! Front iron and crawled in! Breakaway, he lines it up, hammer!
This is Sooner Sports Talk.
Welcome to Sooner Sports Talk. We are live from Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. You might notice the voice of the Sooners, Toby Rowland, is not here. He is on the road in College Station, Texas, for the Tuesday night showdown between OU and A&M. So in place of Porter and Toby, please welcome in one of my favorite Sooners of all time, Tyler Neal. What's going on, Tyler? How are you, buddy?
Appreciate that. Checks in the mail for that. Toby's probably off breaking news somewhere,
How about that?
talking to his credible sources about defensive coordinator things.
I told Toby my favorite moment of T-Row breaking that story yesterday was knowing that he sent the tweet out and immediately put his phone down and couldn't care less about it.
Yeah, about replies or
couldn't care
likes,
about replies.
numbers, engagement.
He probably went on to make a sandwich and enjoy the rest of his day. Well, I know that both Toby and the entire Sooner family were over the moon excited about what happened in Fayetteville this weekend. Tyler, you go to Arkansas, you beat the Razorbacks. Granted, this isn't Corliss Williamson and Scotty Thurman and the Hogs of years past, but it's still a really good win, and it's still on the road in SEC play.
Man, Chris, any win on the road in this conference, or really any conference play, going away from home and getting a win is not easy for a lot of reasons, and it's a John Calipari team, right? They don't have an awesome record in conference play to start this season off, but Porter talked about it going into this game. You're even with Boogie Flan, freshman kind of sensation there, point guard missing for the rest of the season, unfortunately for the Razorbacks. You're getting a very tough, hard-playing team when you're playing against John Calipari, and of course, on top of that, the talent, right? He's always going to have that. And he's going to have to build that up to get it to the point where he had it in Kentucky. But, they're pretty dang talented with guys like DJ Wagner and Thiero and some of those guys that were making plays for Arkansas. So a really, really good win, one that they can continue to build on. That's 2 straight. And they're different, though. When you go away from home, you do it together, you kind of lose yourself in winning. It's different, and that can make a big impact on your team.
Opening segment is always presented by Noble McIntyre with McIntyre Law. Noble McIntyre Law, the law firm for all your personal injury needs. And, it was a unique game because the Sooners got off to a fast start as we take a look at some of the highlights. They had a 12-point lead at one point in the first half. They rallied. They were down 6 at one point in the second half. But just all in all, Tyler, they got off to a great start, and you get off to a good start like that. I say that as you see they're down 5-0. But you get off to a good start on the road like they did, and you bounce back. That's really setting the tone. You want to take the crowd out of it, and they did a good job of what many said was the best crowd that Arkansas had all year long in the Bud.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was going to mention. I saw Toby's tweets, close to 19,000 people. We played there when Coach Kruger was here and I was playing, and they can definitely get rowdy in there, and I'm sure with Coach Calipari and kind of the excitement around the program, even with their record being what it was coming into this one, there's an element to that. I mean, picture playing in front of 19,000, right? Yeah. If you're listening to this, that's a lot of people to do anything in front of. And I thought, like you said, it wasn't the hottest start right off the bat, but this first half, as you see a lot of these offensive possessions here, they did settle in. They did settle in and figure out ways to get good shots, and it feels like, we'll talk about this a little bit throughout the show, but feels like the feel for when to take and make three-pointers, take three-point attempts, is starting to kind of find a rhythm here with some of these guys like Luke Northweather, Glenn Taylor. Of course, we've seen Bryson Goodine knock down some threes. There he hits one of his 3, and he went on a little 6-0 run himself. That's one of my favorite things of this young season so far, our 6-0 Bryson Goodine runs with made threes. But this was one of, maybe the most comprehensive half that this Sooners team has put together. Now, Arkansas went on a good run at the end of the half to kind of get themselves back in it, and it started shortly after that 3 from Glenn Taylor right there, and we see, being 4 on the high side at halftime. But a very comprehensive half that I was really, really pleased with. Got to figure out, a way to be a little bit better in the kind of middle 8, right? You hear it in football. It's the same in basketball.
I feel like
middle
this
8.
is the Brent Venables show right
That's right.
now. The middle
That's
8,
right.
baby.
That's right. It's very important, and that you'll keep working on that. You'll keep figuring that out, and we'll see some clips here coming down to the end of the second half here, you find a way to win basketball games. You can play well in the last minute.
Yeah, and just real quick on the offensive side, you mentioned for the Sooners, they didn't shoot the ball poorly, but they didn't shoot the ball well. If that
Right.
makes a lot of sense. The timing of some of the shots was key, but you look at the statistical numbers, 33% from the beyond the three-point line, but 41% from the floor. They did a good job in creating. And here's kind of what you were talking about, maybe one of the plays of the game, the hustle plays. They're getting down, they're getting loose balls, they're making it happen on their end of the court. These are plays, maybe, Tyler, not from lack of effort from the Sooners, but where the ball just didn't go their way. On Saturday night in Fayetteville, I thought you saw a supreme effort. And when you see that and you get a few of those breaks, it rolls downhill and becomes contagious.
Well, and that kind of played itself into this clip right here. These last couple of defensive possessions for Oklahoma were outstanding. I mean, some of the best that they have put on tape thus far. Here's another one, kind of the clinching game there. Glenn Taylor comes over and helps and goes straight up. There's a little bit of contact, but credit to these referees for not calling things that aren't there, and obviously the awesome Jalen Moore dunk to cap it off. But, man, those defensive possessions – the guys were out there scrambling, and the fun thing about this is it was a mix of 5 guys that haven't played a ton of minutes together.
Yeah.
Mo Wagi is playing more and more minutes, and Porter's starting to be able to rely on and trust him a lot. His length, the athleticism that he brings, and the activity that he brings on defense. Not him. You had Luke Northweather in pretty late in this ball game, later than he's in, and he's contributing to some of that and using his length. But I mean, there's a lot we got into there, but chiefly among those was the energy, the activity, and being on the same page of where the help is coming from when you just had to get stops to win a basketball game. It's really hard to win a basketball game in a one-point game. Only one of the two teams out there can do it, and it really helps if you can, not allow good looks at the basket, and there were 2 really good instances there where Porter's guys did that.
Oh, yeah, and then we mentioned it was on the road in conference play, which is a quad 1 win and huge for Oklahoma.
Absolutely.
When we were sharing notes, by that I mean I was stealing everything Tyler was bringing to the program tonight. You said something that really kind of stayed with me and I wanted to talk about tonight. They're starting to learn how to play winning basketball. What does that look like to you, and what did you see that kind of stood out on that front?
Yeah, I mean, on those defensive possessions, it's Porter. I kind of like the way Porter Moser words this and verbalizes this. It's losing yourself and winning. And a lot of these guys have done that at a high level, at the high school level, or maybe their last stop now in the transfer portal era, coming from other stops. But this is, usually a step up from the level that you've come from if you've transferred. And it frankly just takes going through, a Texas A&M performance where you're up big and you just didn't quite get over the line. That's a win we all know that the Sooners probably should have had there. But what I do love is very soon after that, you've got a couple of games here. South Carolina, you're able to run away with that one. But that was a close game for, 20, 25, 30 minutes of that one before you kind of step on the gas a little bit and outscore them there the last 10 minutes of the game. But, you're starting to have performances where you are seeing them draw from those previous experiences. And at the college level, that's all you want to see. These teams, these rosters are almost always going to be different from the year before. You're just not getting 5, 7, 8 players, let alone that many. You're not getting 2 or 3 a lot of instances here. So that carryover is tough, and you almost have to relearn that as a group year in and year out. And I think Porter Moser's realizing that in this era, and there's kind of some things you need to change and have your team ready to go make winning plays, especially on the defensive end, maybe more so on the offensive end in some of these games. But you're starting to see that, and I really like that.
Yeah, and, it's just continuing to look back on the win over Arkansas. You brought up guys like, Luke Northweather getting an opportunity. Glenn Taylor, I mean, he looks like a guy that can really help this team a lot. I mean, you see these guys getting more confident too, and I think that just spreads the confidence throughout that entire team that they can win in big moments. Yeah,
let's try to put ourselves in the position of an opponent watching tape on this team, or really any team. You see 1 or 2 or 3 players that catch, coming off the bench. So, basketball is a hierarchical sport when it comes to field goal attempts and shooting the ball, who feels comfortable with shooting in which moments. If you see 2 or 3 or 4 guys that just frankly never get up a shot whenever they have it, even if they have a little space to, it can totally change the way that you scheme your defense up for when the ball falls to those guys.
Yeah.
So guys like Glenn Taylor coming off the bench, guys like Luke Northweather who can really really shoot the basketball, by the way, they need to be getting those shots up when they have the moment, not even just when they're wide open.
Right.
When you have a hand in your face sometimes, especially Luke Northweather, 6'11", you can shoot over most of those, especially from three. Porter needs those guys to shoot confidently. Even if you're not knocking those down, you are creating a situation for the current defense you're playing against and the ones coming up that are preparing for you where they know they have to respect that space. And what does that do? Jalen Moore, Jeremiah Fears now have more room to operate when it gets down into the late stages of the second half. And we saw that with Jalen Moore in this one against Arkansas.
And he took advantage of it. And he made big plays when he needed to. Our opening segment has been brought to you by Noble McIntyre and McIntyre Law, the law firm for all of your personal injury needs. Now, we have more to talk about on the win over Arkansas, but when we come back, let's preview a very challenging week ahead. The Sooners have a big-time showdown as we tape this, as we're live here on a Monday night. Tomorrow night, that's why Toby and Coach aren't here, against Texas A&M. Wade Taylor's back, and he's playing pretty well.
Yeah.
But Texas A&M's coming off a heartbreak. We'll preview that game and the home showdown with Vanderbilt coming up next. It's Sooner Sports Talk live from Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue.
Sooner Sports Talk is brought to you by Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, bringing you the best in real Texas barbecue. Walden Cleaners and Laundry, where the difference is quality. Riverwind Casino, good times, great rewards. Dos Equis, the official import beer of OU Athletics. Go for Dos. Enjoy Dos Equis responsibly. Bob Moore Ford is proud to honor service members through the Patriot of the Game. Log on to Soonersports.com/kids for information about joining the Sooner Kids Club presented by OG&E and brought to you in part by Orthodontics exclusively, Mathis Home, and Devon Energy.
Welcome back to Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. This is Sooner Sports Talk. Porter Moser off with the team to College Station, along with the voice of the Sooners, Toby Rowland. So Tyler Neal has been kind enough to sit in. I'm Chris Plank.
Absolutely.
Taking the whole load tonight for the men's team. Ginny Baranchuk coming up here in mere moments. She'll be on site with us. Kai Smith is going to join us, as is Reagan Beers. We'll talk about the Sooners' win over Georgia coming up in a bit. We got a little time to preview A&M coming up. Before we do that, Tyler, you brought up something about seeing guys like Glenn Taylor step up, seeing Forsythe step up whenever he's had the opportunity, seeing Luke Northweather hit a few shots recently, and how it opens up things more for the Jeremiah Fears and the Jalen Moores of the world. Let's start a little bit with Fears, who, you know, there's been those moments where you're like, oh, yes, he's a freshman. There's also those moments where you're like, dude's going number 5 in the draft, right? So how much of a difference can this make for him, not just in having things open up a bit, but the experience, the time, seeing defenses and how they scheme against them?
Yeah, I think you see in that South Carolina game, he almost had a triple-double, right? Of course, double-digit points, but he had 9 rebounds and 8 assists, and it shows you just kind of how well-rounded he can be when he's, you know, playing freely, when you know, guys around him are knocking down shots and creating some of that space. And, you know, I think let's not forget with Fears, this is a young kid, like you said, and he
should be a high school senior.
Should be a high school senior. Came in August.
Yeah.
He joined in August after no really summer program with the team, which I can't even fathom, you know, being in his position, you know, also being a teammate. Like, I'm trying to picture, you know, June, July, you're taking summer classes, you're doing workouts, you're practicing, and then, August, hey, guys, we're adding a player, and he's going to have the ball in his hands a lot this season, and he's really talented. I mean, that's, you know, we talked about this game being kind of a hierarchical one in nature, and I think his case is a really interesting one because before August, before we knew about all this, now Porter would have probably known in the back of his mind in spring and summer that this was potentially a possibility. Obviously, there's kind of familial relationship there with Jeremiah's dad and things like that dating back to Chicago. But, you know, before that, to the public eye, we're looking forward to Jalen Moore returning, right, for his senior season. He has a really good junior year where he grew a ton throughout the season, became a much more well-rounded player outside of being just an outstanding athlete, which he is, kind of becoming a little bit of a go-to scorer. One thing that I was really excited about going into this year was, what does a Porter Moser offense look like with a 6'7", 6'8" guy as your focal point offensively? And then in August, you throw in this Jeremiah Fears kid, who's, by the way, is probably going to be a lottery pick, and it kind of shifts some of that. And these are young guys. These are young players. It's a hierarchical game. Jalen Moore probably kind of, head spinning a little bit about where do we get this guy involved? Where can I be aggressive? And really, since that Texas second half when Jalen Moore just had an outstanding half, knocking down threes, driving guys, Porter really setting up his offense in spots where Jalen can take advantage of some mismatches, starting to see him kind of settle into that. And now Jeremiah, after kind of inserting himself with that Michigan performance and a couple of those in and around there on the national stage and becoming, kind of throwing himself into that spotlight with his play, almost, a little bit of a tough SEC conference play start, kind of falling behind Jalen Moore there, almost not on purpose, but and not by design either, but that happening naturally,
right,
I almost feel like has helped this offense kind of settle back into where there's a nice agreement almost between those two and how Porter can play those two off of each other, and Glenn Taylor, Luke Northweather, those guys around them shooting the basketball.
Let's talk real quick before we get to A&M about Jalen Moore a little bit. You brought up since the second half of that Texas game, which, is not too terribly long ago, it really seems as if he's found, dare I use the term, another level. But he's also a guy that I understand that there is a lot of frustration because the Sooners need to get back to the tournament, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you get the sense with a guy like Jalen Moore, he has that desire and that passion and that skill set to where you can count on him. He's not going to be a guy that hangs his head. He's not going to let this team get down. I don't think you can say enough about his leadership that you've seen from the, I guess you say senior. I don't know what class anyone is anymore, to be honest with you.
I know.
But to see what Jalen has become leadership-wise, Tyler, I think it's pretty special.
Yep, absolutely. And like I said, last year he grew as a player a ton as the season went on. It was very tangible. It was noticeable from game to game, and I want to give him a lot of credit for that. And then I think, like you said, going through the draft process this year, maturing as a human being, maturing as a player through that, of course, trying to figure out what he needs to work on to take his game to the next level, ideally, through the NBA draft next year. We obviously hope that for him. I think you start to realize, hey, wow, like because of the transfer portal, a couple guys leaving, I'm now the tenured guy here, and I'm only going into my second season. So I think he's handled that pretty well, and I think that's something that as the season goes on, it gets even better. And he doesn't have a bunch of blow-up like 30-point games like Jeremiah has had one or two of, but he rarely scores less than 13 or 15, and he's averaging 18 on the season. He's had a good amount of 20-point games, and he's becoming that reliable, trustworthy scorer for Porter Moser. And when your best player becomes that, or one of your two best players becomes that, role guys like me, I loved when Buddy started getting really good. It made it really easy to fall in behind and to realize, all right, here's where I can help. I'm going to really, really focus on that. And you'll see teammates of Jalen start to do the same thing.
One other note about Jalen Moore, he's just a good kid. And
really good guy.
He's easy to root for. He's fun. He loves Oklahoma. And he's passionate about this team. Now, they're going to be challenged tomorrow night. And the reason that Toby and Porter aren't here is because the Sooners are on the road for what is a unique Tuesday night road game for Oklahoma. Don't think they've had a Tuesday night road game, but it's kind of commonplace in the SEC. We saw A&M come to town, the Bryson Goodine game, when Oklahoma had the big lead and unfortunately fell late. But A&M had the exact opposite happen to them, where they had a big lead all game long, and Texas came back and beat them in the final play of the game. What have you seen from the Aggies and the challenge they're going to present to the Sooners tomorrow night in College Station?
Buzz Williams teams are really, really tough. They play really hard. They're just like Arkansas, but even kind of a step above that. And I think Alabama's the same way. A few teams in the SEC are the same way, but it's a team. Think about it this way: if you get matched up against them in the NCAA tournament, you don't feel real good about it. It's going to be a dogfight, and they're going to go really hard to the offensive glass on you. And in that game in Norman, that comeback win for the Aggies and the loss for the Sooners, I think the Sooners saw that. You can prepare all you want for a team that's going to be really hard-nosed and kind of dogs in that way of, hey, yeah, we're going to get up our shot, but we got three guys flooding to go get the offensive rebound too, and they're not huge.
Right.
They're not Alabama when it comes to height and size. They're not even Arkansas when it comes to that, but they have a bunch of guys who are really, really tough and athletic players, in the 6'8", 6'9" range, and you got to be better at that this time around. But, I'm hoping that the Sooners are looking at this game and, a little bit of a revenge game factor, right?
Yeah.
They came into your place, outplayed you in the second half. It is what it is. You got a lot of work to do to go repay them in a way at their own place.
By the way, Reagan Beers just walked in, so she's next. I'm excited to talk, Reagan. We got ceramics to catch up on, so let's go. This segment has been brought to you by Dos Equis, official import beer of OU Athletics. Go for Dos. Enjoy Dos Equis responsibly. All right, Tyler, before we let you get out of here, the schedule ahead. We mentioned it, Texas A&M coming up on Tuesday night, then a showdown with Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, who moved on from Jerry Stackhouse in the offseason, and they are a very good basketball team. And I think in what we're learning, and our schedule update is brought to you by the Trails Golf Club in Norman. Visit trailsgolf.com. Talk to Zane Alexander, Alan Hager out there, great group. This SEC schedule that we thought might be a little bit nicer for the Sooners based on what the Big 12 was, it's no joke this year.
No, it's definitely not. And you look at that next week at Auburn, at home against Tennessee. Those are two top 6, top 8 programs. Auburn's number 1, and you're going to their place on the 4th. So this is a big week. It's a big week. You want to at least be 1-1. It'd be awesome to repay the favor to Texas A&M and then protect home court against Vanderbilt on Saturday.
Thanks for saving the day, Tyler.
Appreciate you,
bailing me out tonight.
No problem.
That's Tyler Neal, man. Great job breaking everything down.
Thanks, guys.
As Oklahoma wins over Arkansas and gets ready for a showdown with Texas A&M. Jenny Baranczyk, Reagan Beers coming up next. You're listening and watching Sooner Sports Talk live from Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue.
Sooner Sports Talk is brought to you by Norman Hyundai, your premier Hyundai dealership for new and used cars. The best place to gear up for game day is shop.soonersports.com. The Sooner Sports Podcast is your all-access audio pass to Sooner Sports. Listen as Toby Rowland and Chris Plank talk all things Sooners. New episodes drop every day. Log on to Soonersports.com/podcast or search Sooner Sports Podcast in your favorite podcast provider. Presented by Allstate and Riverwind Casino. Orthodontics Exclusively is a proud sponsor of the Junior Captain of the Game. Junior Captain is the ultimate fan experience for children 6 to 12.
All right, welcome back to Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue at Sooner Sports Talk. Toby is off to College Station with Porter Moser, so I get to hang out with Jenny Baranczyk. What's up, Coach?
That's right. I know. How are you?
Good.
I know. I came in hot, so I'm a little bit sweaty, a little out of breath, but
hey,
I made it.
The bright lights. I'm not used to this.
Look at all these people here.
Yeah,
it's
I know.
amazing.
Let's go. We're fired up. Reagan Beers. What's up, Reagan? Uh-oh. We got Reagan's mic? Is she good? There we go. Okay. Hey, there you are.
There you are.
There I am.
I told Reagan, Coach, that all we were going to talk about were ceramics. So
Okay.
if you're okay with that. But,
that's fine.
hey, kudos to you. We had a chance to talk. Was it right before Christmas?
I believe so,
Afterwards?
yeah.
You came by this radio studio, thanks to One Oklahoma. Go join today, oneoklahoma.com. And you had made the ceramic mugs. And then I see on social media that you made blankets for your entire team.
I did.
Where do you have the time? How do you do this?
Well, the blankets, I started that over the summertime.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and so that project started in June when.
Yeah, so nobody asked her because we got to practice making baskets.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
making
So maybe let's
blankets.
make
So
more
nobody
layups
asked
than
her.
blankets. Yeah.
We need more than layups, Reagan.
Yeah.
We need more than layups.
in the basket. Yeah.
Oh, man.
In the basket. See, you learn.
Make baskets and then you make it in the baskets.
That's right.
Hey, this
That's
segment
right.
is presented by Riverwind Casino. Good time, great rewards. Coach, what a performance by this team. Good bounce back performance. Just solid in all phases and balanced scoring on a Sunday too.
You know, I was asked so many times, and we talked about this last week on the radio show too, and obviously Reagan wasn't here, but, you know, after you have such a hard loss like that, is it good that you had a bye week, or do you wish you had another game? And I think there's some element of both, obviously, but I'm just a firm believer that things happen for reasons, obviously, and this is one of those things. And I think we were really able to work some things out as a team, and I felt like we were so engaged in learning and getting better. And I don't think we were a finished product, but I think we thought we had a pretty good first half and a pretty solid team performance. And I'm excited about our team continuing to want to grow as a team. And so I think that's the leadership. I think watching us play more instinctually, I think, is better. And so, yeah, it was nice to get on the floor and just play.
What was that week of practice like?
It was long, you know, I'm not going to lie, but it was good. Obviously, having that week after South Carolina was really good, just to regroup as a team. And like Jenny said, focus more on our instincts, because when we play like that, we're good. So it was long, but it was fun.
Have you been out here to Rudy's before? You've been out here before,
No,
right? No, this is your first time this year?
yeah.
All right, well, I think everyone here is familiar with your path, but let's just kind of talk about implementing what you've been taught and what you've always known about basketball into Jenny Baranczyk's system, and how different that's been and fun that's been for you.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the things when I first came here, or on my visit, what Jenny did that was really, really cool and important for me to see was taking film from when I started at Oregon State, and then doing things and then showing someone on the Oklahoma team doing it. And she's like, look, you did the exact same thing, just in a different jersey. And so that was really important for me to see, because that was some of my hesitation was, can I play at this pace? Can I do this? Can I do that? And so she did a great job of showing me, look, you did it. You'll just do more of it when you come to Oklahoma. And so a lot of that was implementing a faster pace and maybe less plays and more just we have plays that you can just kind of go with the flow and read and react, go off each other, which is super fun. Learning to trust our instincts is super, super important. And so definitely implementing that as we go throughout the season.
The first 2 weeks, I think she thought I was crazy.
Yeah, just a little bit.
And now she thinks I'm great.
Yeah,
you can tell. But no, I think it has been. But it's been really fun to be able to watch Reagan's confidence in herself. And even though I know she's really good and she came in and she was highly recruited out of the portal and all the things, she's really, really humble and almost too humble. And I think that's been a good element for the team. And I didn't know how long it would take us to really mesh as a team. And I think everybody really upped their game in terms of their skill sets. But I think Reagan just does a phenomenal job. She doesn't even know it, of being such an incredible connector. You know the blankets, you know that, but all of that translates onto the floor. And so when she's in that space, it's been so fun to be able to watch her build up Raina Scott. It's been fun to watch her pour into Sahara Williams, because I think what she does, I mean, Lexi Keys talked about her a few weeks ago on this. What she does, she has no idea. She just elevates the level of belief that people have in themselves. And when she plays with that kind of poise and confidence, it's really amazing to watch our team.
I think that's one of the coolest things I've ever heard a coach say about a player. Holy smokes.
That was pretty great.
Might want to retire now.
I know, yeah, I'm done. That's it. We're good. That's all I needed.
So what has it been like for you to have a true post, to have a true five? Because, again, it's nothing against, but you hadn't really had anyone like Reagan Beers your first couple of years.
Well, and Steve, the thing is, I don't think that Reagan's a true post. I think she's got some guard skills. She's got some, we talk about the pace of play, and she's worked her tail off to continue to get in the shape that she wants to be in, but also to be able to play at that next level. And I think that's also why you chose to come here, because you knew that this was a team that needed you, that wanted you. I mean, Skylar and Peyton had an apartment picked out before she even got here, so that was fun. But it's been fun to be able to see her face the basket, break a press, pass. I mean, her passing is one of her most underrated skill sets, I think, because she just has great vision for other people. But it's been fun. I love coaching I love coaching everybody, but there's nothing better than just putting someone on your back and turning and scoring.
Oh,
I would agree.
Sorry.
I would agree with that.
I would agree. So take me through the process of finding your voice, right? You come into this locker room. There is a lot of returning talent that's on this locker room. And here you come as, can I use the term alpha? Where you were a leader, right?
Okay.
Where you were.
Yeah.
So what was that process like for you in finding your voice?
I think this team did a great job of welcoming me and acting like I was already on the team before I really even was.
They had their apartment picked out.
Yes, part of that. But even on the official visit when we were over at Jenny's house, just the camaraderie that the girls had and just treating me like I was already part of them was really, really cool. So coming into a place where you have to learn to find your voice was probably easier than in other places because the girls were welcoming. They're like, no, you've been to an Elite Eight. No, you have been to places that we want to get past the second round, and we want to see that. We want to do that. So say stuff, lead. We need that. We want that because we want to achieve something this season that we haven't seen in years past. And so that has been an important step, and the girls have just kind of come around me and been like, yeah, let's go, let's do it.
You've empowered them. in a lot of ways too.
Well, and I think that's the other part that makes our system and our program challenging for young women, but it also puts them in positions that they can really grow. You know, and we don't, to Reagan's point, we don't run a lot of sets, so it wasn't like she comes in and all of a sudden everything is catered toward her in the set. We're making her be really assertive, and that wasn't easy for Reagan. And that's something that the more confident she gets, the more her teammates pour into her. But we do challenge each other. We have a different kind of system and a style, and we have a different culture. It's not one that's always everybody's. It's not just sunshine and rainbows all the time, and it's one that we really tell the truth to each other. And that's sometimes hard to hear, and it's hard to understand, and it's actually harder to give. Especially for young people, but when you get to watch them challenge each other and call each other up and make each other better, and then we all fall down and we fell really hard on our face, and then instead of blaming other people or outside anything, we just got tighter as a group, and I think that really says something about how special our locker room actually is.
That's awesome. I feel like this team is a very good defensive basketball team, and that it's improved. I know you want to get it better.
Yeah.
It was never a finished product, but
we don't have enough extra days of practice.
I'm
Chris.
sorry.
That's the
I'm
problem.
sorry.
We
I'm
need
sorry.
more bye weeks.
But I'll start with you, Reagan. Where have you seen the improvement for this team defensively? Where have you seen you guys get better?
Man, I feel like we've grown in a lot of different areas defensively, and especially coming from a place at Oregon State where that is how we won basketball games.
Right.
I mean, the girls were shocked when I came here and I said, we scored 58 points and still won. At Oregon State, and they were like, "Are you serious?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think we won 58-54. Like we didn't break 60, and we still won because that's just." And Jonas talks about it like that. That's just what we did.
Right.
And so coming to an offense where the goal is 90, and so where defense had to improve because we are going into the SEC where the teams are just really, really good, and so. I feel like we've grown in a lot of areas, especially transition, just getting back, guarding who we need to guard, and then being in gaps, which is something that we've talked about and have improved upon. Lots of room to grow, of course, but yeah, it's been good.
You've held 18 of your 20 opponents below their field goal.
Well, and again, this is part of where her humility comes in play, and I really think that the last 2 years we've started to really elevate where we need to be, and I think Reagan's been obviously a huge part in terms of rim protection for us, and so she's really allowed some of our guards to be able to have a little bit more pressure because we have such a rim protection, and she's a good communicator too in terms of when we get into rotations. And Lexi Keys, who I have talked about so many times, I think she just works. And then now you have Sahara Williams, who just really is competitive and fiery, and she went from guarding centers to guarding the best guard. It's pretty cool to be able to see our team, but I think they really care about that both sides of the ball. And we're trying to be more instinctual in play, and that doesn't just get to be on one end, it's on both.
Reagan, before we let you get out of here, just what has Norman been like for you, and what has being a Sooner and having support like this, what has it meant to you?
Oh man, it's meant the world, especially coming into a new place. You're new on the team, you're new to Norman, you're new to the school, and having such a great support system built in with the team, and then having an amazing coaching staff and then support staff between the strength coaches and then our academic advisors. I mean, so many people that just pour into you every single day to help you achieve, and they want to see you win, they want to see you grow, and so having that support system here has meant the world, especially coming in not knowing a lot of people. And so thank you, Sooner Nation, for your love. It's been great, and thanks for coming to watch us.
My gosh, I love talking to you.
Oh,
Thanks,
thanks.
Reagan. It's Reagan Beers. We'll take a timeout. We got more with Jenny Baranczyk and Kaya Smith coming up next from Rudy's.
We want to thank all of our Sooner Radio Network affiliates across the state and region. Fans can check out Soonersports.com for an affiliate in your area. And if you're traveling outside the state of Oklahoma, you can listen to all the action on either SiriusXM Radio or download the Varsity Network app and listen free. Oklahoma Buick GMC dealers. See your Oklahoma Buick GMC dealer.
All right, welcome back to Sooner Sports Talk. We're live from Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. Toby is with Porter. They're at College Station getting ready for OU Hoops against A&M tomorrow night. So Jenny Baranczyk is here, and we are pumped to be joined by Oklahoma native Kaya Smith. First time here, right, Kaya?
Yep.
Let's go.
I know she might be like a little nervous, not a lot nervous.
No.
She's so talkative all the time. So this is amazing to watch her. Look at
You're just glowing, man. So are you more quiet, a little bit more shy?
Quiet.
Quiet? All right.
When she wants to be.
When you're out on the court, though, is there a switch that flips where it's a different, or you're a little bit more laid back on the court too?
A little laid back.
A little bit laid back?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you're not. No, in terms of, I think your confidence has to continue to develop as time goes, but you can see her confidence as this season has gone on, and we have thrown her into multiple positions. We have thrown her into multiple lineups. And what I'm really proud of is her resilience. I think she's a lot more resilient than maybe she would think that she is. Because as a freshman, it's hard.
Yeah.
You know, your freshman year it's a challenging year, and especially today because we always see the end product. We don't always necessarily look at the process that gets us to those spaces. But it's been really fun to be able to watch her. I even thought today was one of her best practices. I think you could start to see her really shine. I mean, the number of compliments even after practice from her teammates today, I thought was pretty awesome. So she's really worked through things. She's really competitive. She's really she brings a different element for us. You know, it's been hard actually not to get her more time because I think that's something that we want to do for a lot of our players. And we have one of those kind of challenging rosters this year that is good and not good at the same time.
Well, I want to say, whenever Coach said you had a great practice, Reagan Beers was nodding her head. So that's a good sign right there. This segment is brought to you by Pike Pass. Make it home safe, Oklahoma. Kaius, take us through your path. You're an Oklahoma product, played at PC West, now an Oklahoma Sooner. Always want to play for Oklahoma. Kind of take us through how you first learned about the Sooners and what it means to play for your home state's team.
It means a lot to me to especially be home in. I know I don't talk much, but
You're doing great.
You're great. You're doing great.
Seeing myself here now is kind of crazy.
Kind of cool.
Yeah.
When did you first, like, in other words, everyone has a moment where, like, hey, I might be pretty good at this. Was there a moment for you where you thought, Kai Smith's got a chance to play Division I college basketball?
I think that moment was, my second visit here.
Really?
Yeah, we kind of what Reagan had said. They showed me like the similarities of previous players and like me doing the same thing in high school. So.
What would you consider yourself a bit of a film gym rat? Like where is your passion? Is it in studying? Is it in just getting in the gym and working? Where do you find you have the most fun outside of just the game?
I would say practice, like our tempo of practice. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it seems like it fits your game as well, too,
Yeah.
Coach, and your style. And obviously, as a freshman, you mentioned there is challenges because of the returning talent on this roster. And you bring in a Reagan Beers, and you've got, I mean, for you, have you embraced the learning part of this?
Yes, it took me a while, but I definitely embraced it.
It's a whole new world, right, Jenny?
No, I mean, I couldn't agree more, and I'm glad that she really lit up. And those of you that didn't get to see her face like we do right up here, she did, because it does take a little bit. And at first you think, okay, I'm just going to come in and I'm going to do this, and you don't realize all the work that really is behind the scenes. It's not even the practice time. It's not even, you're in the weight room, your whole day is scheduled, you're trying to function, you're trying to figure out classes. I think she's taken her academics really serious as well. I think she's done a great job of pouring in there and putting in extra time there. And by the way, she gets in the gym every day and has really worked on, we've told her we need you to be able to shoot that 3-point shot. And sometimes we'll even put her on a scout team to be like, okay, you're the shooter. So I need you to really get those game reps in that. And I think at first you're like, wait, what? And then you start to see, Reagan stepped on scout. Everybody has kind of stepped on it a variety of times, but sometimes that really just sparks an interest in you, and it sparks a fire in you that you start to see those elements of your game. And I think that we've really been able to see that with Kaya. And I think she's really worked through some things. She's had some really good conversations. You always worry about whether or not you fit in when you first get here. Reagan kind of talked about that too. And your freshmen always go through that. And it's unique because her roommate has a sister on the team. So then you're like, well, you fit in. But Zaya's gone through kind of the same things, and they've gotten really close. But I think they just do a great job of complimenting each other. She shows up every day. She continues to work really hard. She's got a great support system at home. And I think that helps her continue to push through and to be able to stay really present, but also keep a little bit of future focus in what she's doing. Because I think she can really start to see, especially when we graduate a lot of players, where her game has fit into a system. Because she had to learn that. She had to learn a whole new system, a whole new way of basketball. And I think she's just been a really good student of the game.
Jenny mentioned your family. Tell me about your family.
Yeah, I would agree. I have a really tight support system. Yeah.
And is he? And
You have a twin brother. You can at least talk about him.
you got a twin brother.
Yeah.
Is he a hooper too?
No, he does football.
Oh, he's a football guy.
Yeah.
All right, but okay, so twin brother growing up, obviously same age. But were you guys competitive with each other? Would you guys go back and forth?
All the time.
Still to this day?
No, she bosses him around.
Do you really? You let him
Yeah,
know?
so
Wow,
we're
learning
all
something
shy
today.
and all nice, and yet we kind of boss our twin brother
Yeah,
around a little
right?
bit.
Whenever you do it. Well, listen, it's got to mean a lot to play for Oklahoma. And when you have another freshman like Zaya there, what has that relationship building been like for you and her?
I think both of us being freshmen, it definitely brought us together.
That's awesome. Coach, we got about
you guys were, like, you knew each other, but you weren't
we
close.
played AAU together.
Yeah. But you weren't as close as you are. I mean, obviously now. I mean, I would say you're pretty close. I mean, they're pretty much inseparable. I know Reagan's probably nodding at that too. But that's really fun to be able to see that too. You know,
it's fun.
especially today.
All right, Coach, before I let you get out of here, we got about 30 seconds. We got LSU on Thursday, and then Kentucky. This conference, it's every night, isn't it?
Yeah, it gets easier every day, really. It just does. Yep. So that's why I don't even know. See, I didn't even know we were at Ole Miss after that. I knew Kentucky because it's our annual pink game, but you know, honestly, we get to go play at LSU, and you know, some of the things that we talked about. You don't always. I don't think people here understand environments in the SEC, and it will be interesting as you go with softball to be able to see that too. And we got to see some of it with football, and we know we have a lot of fans for football. But I mean, when we went to South Carolina, and even before that, but when we went there, I mean, we were at Tennessee, and it's a storied venue, and it's an ice storm, and you know, and there's still 11,000, and then we go to South Carolina, and there's 18,000 people, and there really wasn't an open seat.
That's crazy.
You know, and it's all of that. And by the way, they're really good basketball players that are going to keep playing for a long time. And so we want to continue to keep building up the Lloyd Noble Center to be able to build our fan base like that, because I think that's so important for us to be able to do that. And so we will. And I know it's kicking me off, sorry. But I will say life doesn't always give you a week in between big lessons. And so I'm excited to be able to watch our response.
Put a wrap on it next, live from Rudy's.
Thank you
to our Cornerstone television partners, OU Health, OG&E, Fowler Auto Group, and Coca-Cola.
All right, thanks for joining us for Sooner Sports Talk. We'll see you back here at Rudy's next week. Until next time, Boomer Sooner.
Live at Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, bringing you the best in real Texas barbecue. Sooner Sports Talk has been brought to you by Dos Equis, official import beer of OU Athletics. Go for Dos. Enjoy Dos Equis responsibly. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Sooner Sports Network.